to the Real Mama Pod.
I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra.
We are real moms.
Sharing real experiences. The things people don't tell you.
Hey, Mama. Hey.
Hey, Mama. What's up?
I'm good. How are you?
You're all cheesy. Real cheesy this morning.
So if this is your first time listening, I'm your host, Devin.
And I'm your host, Kendra. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, and we have a guest, as you can see.
Hey, guest.
That's why I'm so happy.
Right. She's in from ear to
Yeah,
ear.
this is like a full circle moment. So our guest is really cool, and y'all probably already know him.
Okay.
Tell us what we got, friend.
So we have Money Makin Mitch. And Money Makin Mitch defines himself as a tax strategist, an author. And I'm going to define him as someone who is our age, someone who knows great things about sustaining finances, learning more about finances. And he's someone that we can relate to.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's how I'm going to define Money Makin Mitch. But this man is very experienced in the work he does. He's a former, can we say former accountant? Or do you still...
I'm still a CPA.
Okay. He's still, obviously he still has that CPA, but he has taken his brand and really grown it into a space and an area that can allow us to connect with our finances better and learn more about how to sustain them. So,
and he makes it super fun because it could be boring.
His reels be
real cute. Yeah, real
catchy. They're real. I love his reels.
Thank you.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, Money Makin Mitch.
Yes, you guys hear me? Check.
No, you're good.
All right.
Well, so usually we have mamas on the show, but every now and then we have daddies too.
Yes.
So thank you for representing. So briefly tell us about your journey into fatherhood.
Yeah, so basically with fatherhood, so been with my wife now, Michel, for about 6 years now. And just recently had a little baby girl, Raina, so she's about to turn a year.
Hey, Raina.
Yes, and it's been good. It's been a journey. It's been really new experience for both of us, right? So we get into it, and basically me and Raquel were big time planners, right? So we're always planning and thinking about things, and we think we had everything figured out, but then immediately things just started changing and things started happening. We got the baby a month early, and just that really we were preparing to get the nursery ready and everything, and literally we had to just kind of get the ball going with that. And yeah, it's just been amazing seeing her grow. She's always learning and changing. I heard her say, she said dada yesterday very clearly.
I bet that warmed your heart, didn't it?
I was just like,
She got your ass.
She said it before Mama, so.
Don't you do that.
Right.
Mama's doing a lot of spending most of the time really taking care of her. But yeah, it's been great, and it's really helping me think more about the future, right? So a lot of times, prior to having the baby, just really kind of thinking about, just building my business, getting my brand out there, spend a lot of time going hard on building this personal brand, really sacrificing time, energy, money, taking risks, and now it's making me be a little bit more strategic on how I use my time, how I use my finances, and, basically legacy.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that.
That word,
legacy. We've been trying to get there.
Right, we are getting there.
We are getting there. Yeah, I love that. And these kids will humble you.
Oh, yeah.
They certainly will.
Yeah.
So I have a question. We talk about financial freedom, building this legacy, right? Sure. How can someone build their financial freedom and their legacy? It seems like an almost impossible thing to do. But from your perspective, how can one obtain financial freedom?
Yeah, so really when I hear about financial freedom, I think about basically this formula. So the formula for financial freedom is where you're able to generate money passively, and being able to have that money be able to cover your living expenses. Okay. So with financial freedom, really the goal is planning. You have to be intentional about it, right? Because in my opinion, the way society's set up, the way the world's set up, it's kind of designed in a way against financial freedom, right? So you're basically put in a position where you basically have to continue to working a 9 to 5, and then, you're going to work, getting up probably at 8 a.m., 7 a.m., getting ready for work, come home at 5, then you're too tired to do anything, and you're just basically going through that cycle again and again and again and that's Monday through Friday, right? Sometimes people work even longer than that, maybe if you pick up another job. And so it's really difficult for people to be able to have the energy to try to focus on building a business. But one of the fortunate things, one of the benefits now is the internet, right? So it's easier for you to get your brand out there, your name out there. And that's something I really took advantage of, is like, okay, how can I really put my message out there, put my brand out there to where I'm able to go ahead and be able to have a business and a thriving business to where I can get to the point of financial freedom. So one of the things I did, right, instead of like focusing on a 9 to 5, I focused on my 5 to 9.
Ooh.
So the 5 to 9 is where you're basically able to design your life. You're 9 to 5, and nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5. Your 9 to 5 is there to go ahead and pay for your life, right, temporarily, but your 5 to 9 is where you can design your life, create the life of your dreams, really focus on your passions and really building something on the side to where you're eventually able to go ahead and do it full time, and then also, you know, using that money to go ahead and put that money into passive investment opportunities.
5 to 9.
Yeah, my 5 is gonna start around 8:30.
Yeah, ours is 8:30 to 11.
After Eli goes to sleep.
Yep, 8:30 to 11.
I like that perspective. Is you're using the rest of your evening to focus on what you really want and need to do to build your legacy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Focusing on the 5 to 9.
Yes.
Put that
So,
in post.
yeah, that brings me to my next question. So you talk passionately about write-offs and small businesses writing off things, especially hiring your kids and then writing those off as tax write-offs.
Yeah.
Walk us through that, because look, Kendra and I are both trying to figure that out. We need that formula.
I got you. Yeah. So and I typically when I break this down, there's a lot of things I want to go over to make sure like everyone's on the same page and kind of how it works, right? But when you look at taxes, for instance, right, and being able to take advantage of the tax code ultimately is designed for business owners and entrepreneurs, right? So, and the reason why that is like if you're a business owner, right, you are hiring people, you're employing people, right? So that's one less job that the government has to figure out to be able to have someone, right? That's one less person on unemployment. Where also too, as an investor, right? If you're investing into companies, maybe you're investing in the stock market, et cetera, that's one less dollar that the government has to put into these businesses to grow, right? Ultimately, the government's goal is to be able to help people make money, right? And be able to tax that money, right? Because tax money is used to be able to, for the government to do whatever they need to do. So that's how they raise money. So they've identified that the tax code could be used as an incentive to be able to do what they want the people to do, right? Because they realize that if we increase taxes on this thing, less people are going to want to do this. If we decrease taxes in this way, it's going to incentivize and push people to do things in a certain way, right? And those certain things mainly is going to be business owners and investors, right? So one of the books that really changed my mind about this was Rich Dad Poor Dad. They talk about the 4 ways to make money, right? So you can make money as an employee, right, working a 9 to 5. You can make money as a self-employed individual, right, where you have your own business, you're a solo entrepreneur. Then you can make money as a business owner, and that's when you're hiring people and you're basically using people to make money, right? Instead of you physically having to do the labor, trading time for money, using people to make money. As an investor, using money to make money. So crazy thing is 95% of the wealth is generated from the business owners and investors, and they pay the least amount of money in taxes. So the biggest thing for you to do if you're working a 9 to 5 is, again, focus on that 5 to 9. Start small. You don't have to have a big corporation, right? A lot of people are intimidated by entrepreneurship because they think that you have to be a Facebook and Amazon. They think about all these big companies and brands, but literally in the IRS, the tax code, it says you're a business if you are in the pursuit of profit. That's it. As long as you are pursuing, like trying to make money, even if you have a loss, which a lot of businesses lose money in the first 2 years.
We know that firsthand.
Yeah, right. But it's an investment. You got to think about it. It's an investment into your future and into your business. And that's basically it. So if you are trying to make money, then you're able to take advantage of these tax write-offs, right? So a couple things that you need to understand. So the biggest thing as far as being able to write things off is basically it's considered a tax deduction. So when it comes to tax deductions for business owners, the IRS has 4 requirements, right? So I call these tax-free, So if you're taking notes, if you want to write this down, it's FREE is an acronym that you can use to remember like how to be able to write things off for your business. So the first thing is F. So F, it needs to be for your business. So if you're spending money for your business, then that's a tax write-off.
Okay.
The next thing is R, regular. So it needs to be considered regular for your business. The IRS calls that ordinary. So for a podcast, for instance, right, which is a business, right? So the microphone, the lights, the cameras, the chairs, the furniture, the drinks, right? All these things are considered regular for podcasts, right? So that's fine, right? One of my good friends, she owns an ice cream shop. What's regular for her business is ice cream cones, napkins, refrigerators, freezer, right?
Right.
If I try to buy that stuff for my business, that's not regular, right?
Right.
So, I'm going to potentially be able to face an audit if I start doing those things. So you want to make sure it's regular, ordinary for your business. The third part of that tax-free is it needs to be considered essential for your business. So what's essential in order for you to be able to operate your business? So that's going to be utilities, it's going to be rent, it's going to be hiring employees. All those things are considered essential. And then last but not least, economical. So economical, the IRS calls that not lavish or extravagant under the circumstances. So basically, your business should be profitable to be able to take advantage of different tax write-offs, right? So we cover that. So that's like the foundation of deductions.
Right.
And a deduction, just to clarify, so let's say, for instance, I'll give you like a popular one. So let's say your business makes $100,000, right? Mm-hmm. One of a really popular tax deduction and write-off is being able to buy a vehicle through your business, right? Mm-hmm. So you're able to actually purchase the vehicle through your business, and even if you put a down payment, so let's say you make $100,000, right? And then you purchase a vehicle for $100,000, right? Like a G-Wagon, a vehicle that weighs over 6,000 pounds, like a G-Wagon, Range Rover, and that vehicle costs $100,000. Now you reduce your taxable income to zero, right? And that could save you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, depending on your tax bracket, right? Because now it's a deduction, it reduces your income in that case. So as far as the tax deductions, one of the things that you could do as a business owner is pay your kids through the business, right? Mm-hmm. Which is why it's so important to be able to like get into entrepreneurship, because you're already paying for your kids, right? You're already buying things for your kids. But if you're able to understand the tax code, you could be more creative on how you're able to pay for certain things with your kids, right? So the IRS, they allow you to be able to pay your kids for up to the standard deduction amount, right? So we'll just say $12,000. It changes by year depending on when you're watching this, right? Right now it's like $12,950. They're increasing that. So, but let's just say $12,000. Mm-hmm. You can pay your kid up to $12,000 in the business. Take that as a deduction for your business, right? Mm-hmm. And now your child has money, and they can use that money however they want to, right? So it's a tax deduction for you as a business owner, so it reduces your taxes. Now your kid has money, right, and you don't have to pay payroll taxes on that if they're under the age of 18. So that's one of the benefits. And then to like really get even more advantages of it, right? Now they have earned income. Mm-hmm. So because they have earned income, they can put that money into retirement. So they put that money into retirement. Let's say they go ahead and you create like a retirement account for your kid. They can max it out like an IRA, individual retirement account, $6,000. Right. Let's say you start that at the age of 7. By the time they're 18, right, they're gonna have over $100,000 in their bank account by the time they're 18, right? Because of the power of compound interest. So you put it into maybe like an S&P 500 or some kind of investment fund, and then because of the power of compound interest, it can make over $100,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot.
Talking about setting up your kids.
I have my notes, right?
Yeah.
I have my FREE acronym here. But our next question actually is about how you're setting your daughter up for success. So this is a great segue into that question. How are you setting her up for success? And it sounds like this is a part of the plan.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that we're doing, right? So one, obviously paying her through the business. Now I do recommend, so my daughter, she's about to be 1. I do recommend, generally speaking, to start it at the age of 7, just because based on your court cases, the IRS kind of doesn't feel like there's not anything legit that someone under the age of 7 can actually do for the business, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, but some people do it. Some people do hire their kids through the business, call them models and all that kind of stuff. You could take that chance, but 7 is a safer age to start it, right?
Okay.
But so yeah, at the age of 7, That's something that we're going to be doing. Also, another thing is going ahead and getting life insurance. So life insurance is super important to go ahead and get, especially now with children. So you have term life insurance, you have whole life insurance. Depending on your financial situation, you definitely want to talk to a financial advisor, but term is decent, at least to start off with, and basically you pay it for a term for a certain period, right? So in the event that you die, become incapacitated, not able to work, or whatever the case is, then at least your income could go ahead and get replaced,
right?
And be able to continue to happen. Unfortunately, it happens more often, than people realize. A lot of people don't want to think about that,
right?
But things happen, right? So, I mean, I've had clients where I literally talking to them in the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, their husband passed. You never know what could happen, right? So, getting that stuff in place is going to be key. And then also another thing that I've been really pushing and telling people about more is about setting up a trust. A trust. So a trust is basically it's basically this. So a trust basically is able to go ahead and show or basically determine how your assets, your money, your house, your car, your businesses are going to be passed on to your beneficiaries, usually your kids, your wife, your spouse, whatever the case is. And by having a trust in place, you're able to avoid what's called probate.
Okay.
So probate is basically when you have to go to court. It's a hot mess. People like probate's the ghetto, right? You don't want to be in probate because it becomes public information, and you got cousins and nieces and like all these people fighting over money, right? Saying that, oh no, they would have gave it to me, and a will is not enough. So a lot of times, people talk about wills, but a will is not enough. So having a trust in place is going to protect you, like a couple of things, right? So, like one thing with that is sometimes because it's public now information. Let's say the family can't pay. Let's say the house owes property taxes. The family can't pay it, or they're gonna put up for auction, right? And then because it's public information, maybe the judge, maybe people in the courtroom, they're letting their friends know, and they're like, we're losing our as the Black community, right? We're losing assets because of this, right? And a lot of famous celebrities, Prince didn't have a trust in place, right? A whole bunch of Chadwick Boseman didn't have much of a trust in place. Like a whole bunch of these
top tier celebrities.
Yeah, top tier. Takeoff, right?
I heard about him not having.
He didn't have that stuff in place, right? These guys are multi-millionaires, not without this stuff, right? And yeah, it's sad, and it's super important that we really have those types of things in place. And then also, really just as she gets older, just really educating her about money. So another opportunity, while she's working in the business, just really showing her the importance of entrepreneurship and finances, right? So kind of educating through that way. So a couple things.
You are really setting her. I've heard about the trust and how it is important to have one of those, and of course a will, but really the trust, so that all of your assets essentially fall under this umbrella, so to speak.
For sure.
And your family doesn't have to tussle in the court with trying to figure out where your stuff should go, who it should be with, and so on. So that is on.
I'm adding trust to our list.
Yes,
so we have everything. Yeah, we have all that lined up, but not a trust. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. I learned something today.
And there's different types of trusts. There's like dozens of trusts out there. So the two main trusts that you need to be aware of is there's a living trust, and there's also called a revocable trust, and there's an irrevocable trust, right? And the living trust basically means you can change it during your lifetime. The irrevocable is a little bit more complex, usually for higher net worth individuals. So I generally recommend just to start off with a living trust. You can go ahead, and then if you want to get it irrevocable, you can go ahead and get that later. But for instance, like for Kobe, right? So Kobe had an irrevocable trust, right? Fortunately, when he passed. And again, no one would have predicted that Kobe would pass, right? I thought that Kobe was going to be
up here with Kareem.
Like with all the old heads
right.
on sports, ESPN, talking about
life and whatever.
Right? So you never know what could happen. But fortunately, he had an irrevocable trust in place. He actually... So he made, and I forget the numbers. I did a post on this, but he made millions of dollars as an NBA player. But he also had an investment in body armor, right? Which actually increased significantly more his whole NBA career.
Wow.
So that money was more than what he made during the NBA, right? It was the power, again, of investing and going ahead and getting assets. And now, you know, his family, his children are able to have access to that. It doesn't have to go through probate. They did have to, I do believe they had to go to court to kind of adjust a couple things because it is irrevocable, so it's a little bit more complex. It requires more of a process to change. But, you know, now their kids have, you know, over, you know, 100, I think it's like 400, 500 million dollars worth of, you know, access of money. They have recently, there's an interview with Nipsey Hussle's brother where he said that, you know, the Marathon clothing store, that's in a trust, and his kids forever will have access to be able to benefit from that. So that's awesome. Really the power of it. And it's really not that expensive. Like you can probably get one for, you know, a couple of $1,000. And like I said, it's just basically a living, breathing document. You can continue to add assets to it, continue to add different things to it over your life. So
wow, that was good.
A good nugget.
Yeah.
Are you looking for a place to go, like on vacation or with your girls?
Of course, I'm always looking to kick it with my girls or my man.
Yeah, or your boo. Well, if you are in search of a vacation planner, we have the perfect person for you, and that is KT Travel and More.
Yes, Stephanie is fabulous and thorough.
Very.
And she will make sure you have the best time on your vacation.
Yes.
Yo, if you have a destination wedding you're trying to plan, let's talk about that. Okay, anniversary, couples trips,
baby
all
moon.
That. Baby moon. Yeah, she got you.
She got you all the way.
So check out KT Travel and
More.
Speaking of like investing in your children, do you believe in college funds, 529 plans? If so, why? If not, why not?
Yeah, so it's yes and no.
Okay.
So it depends on, I think it's really a personal decision. So for me, I think so I like options, right? So I'm really big into options and having flexibility. So the 529, one of the drawbacks of it is you're pretty much forced to use that money for college.
Right.
Being in the online space, being in the education space, I don't know what college is going to look like in 18 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are we still going to have colleges? Are it still going to be? Is it still going to be physical? Are they going to have the same amount of value? And the interesting thing with me is, like, I'm a CPA. Went to one of the top universities in the country as it relates to accounting. I learned more about taxes and accounting outside of school. You know what I mean? So having the 529, it kind of restricts you versus the way I talked about, like, being able to pay your kids through the business.
Right.
Now they can use that money however they want. They can buy a car with that money. They can go ahead and go to college with that money. So that's probably, to me, gives you more flexibility on how they could be set up and how to use that money. But one of the benefits of the 529 is it does give you a tax deduction.
Right.
So you contribute to it like a retirement account, and you're able to go ahead and take a tax deduction for that year. But, you know, if they decide not to go to school, if they don't want to go to school, you know, you're kind of just stuck with that.
Yeah.
That plan.
So going back to taxes, and when we talk about write-offs, we are a small business, right? And I'm sure there are a million other small businesses out there that are just wanting answers to the questions that are lingering. They may have questions that they don't even know they have questions about. But what are, like, 3 write-offs that a small business or any business should incorporate when doing their taxes? Like 3 must-do write-offs.
For sure. So if you're a small business, most likely you're probably working out of your home, right? You don't have a physical office space. So a really common one, which people were afraid to do because they thought it would be like a red flag, but it's actually legit and safe, is a home office deduction. So you're living in your home. It's easier to do it in your home. You can do it with an apartment, but it's easier to do it if you actually own the home. If you have a space within your home that's specifically used for business purposes, like you're basically an office space, then you're able to take a deduction for that space. So let's say that, for instance, and the things that you're able to write off is your utilities, your property taxes, mortgage interest, all that kind of stuff, right? Internet, yep. So a portion of that. So let's say, like, just to keep the max simple, let's say your home is 1,000 square feet, right? And your office is 200 square feet. So that's 20% of the home. So 20% of those expenses can now be deducted for your business. So that's a really
Wow.
big one that can help you save. And again, it's money that you're already spending. You don't have to go out and do anything. You just literally
Right.
have to file your taxes in a certain way to let them know, like, hey, I'm working. I have a home office, right? And that's one thing. Another thing that you could do is, of course, pay your kids through the business. We talked about vehicles. If you're just starting off, an easy way to be able to deduct for vehicle expenses is what's called the mileage method. So when you're driving for business purposes, let's say you're driving to a podcast, for instance, right? Going to a conference, a seminar, right?
Yeah.
That is going to be an opportunity for you to be able to deduct, right? So and I believe there you can now deduct about 62 cents per mile. So that's an easy one. Low hanging fruit. You just want to make sure you're recording the miles, and that could save you a lot of money in taxes. Another thing is travel. So traveling is key. We all travel, especially with families. So you want to figure out, how can I make my travel related to business? Because now travel is a business expense, right? So if you're going to a conference, going to a seminar, if you're networking, right, you can go ahead and be able to deduct for business travel, right? So let's say you have the kiddos, or we talked about Disney a little bit before the podcast. Let's say you got some kiddos, right? Let's say you go ahead to go to Orlando. You want to have a family trip, go to Disney World on the weekend. So one of the things that you could do is you can go like on a meetup.com or go online, eventbrite.com, figure out what is a business conference, seminar, networking event that you could do on a Friday. You go ahead, do your thing, whatever family trip on the weekend, and on Monday you find some kind of business related activity, right? So now you're able to write off the whole weekend, the flights, the hotels, the Ubers, the Lyfts, like all that kind of stuff now could be deducted because now it's business related, right? So when it comes to taxes, the key is like changing the facts. It's basically taxes law, right? It's just a legal document that's out there, and as long as you follow the legal document, then you're able to go ahead and take advantage of this. And when it comes to the legal aspect of things, it's really about facts.
Right.
So if you change the facts, you could change your tax. And that's really the key. That's the secret, is like that you want to be able to change the facts in a certain way to show like, hey, I'm doing business related activities. This is how I can go ahead and take advantage of it and save money on taxes.
That's another quote.
Yeah. Look, you need to write these quotes down, okay?
Hey, that's another quote.
And so we will be recording in Disney, so we need to make sure we are logging our mileage. So we're really good about our gas, but we're not logging our mileage, so we need to make sure we do that.
I mean, we can always go on Google Maps and see.
Yeah, that's true.
We've traveled how many miles, you know?
Yeah. We need a whole car for the podcast.
There you go. No, we really do a pickup truck.
It's something.
Around.
So how can small businesses like ourselves ensure that we are sustaining and we're generating revenue? Because we're putting a lot of money into the business, but not necessarily getting a lot out. So right now, and we're claiming we're investing. Yeah, we are investing, but it's time for us to get paid.
So that's so the big thing with that is what I recommend doing, if you haven't already tapped into it, is looking into OPM, other people's money.
Okay.
Right? So tapping into like business credit is going to be an opportunity for you to be able to get some more funds and access to money to be able to go ahead and help you grow the business. But when it comes to many businesses, the biggest thing is like when you boil business down, it's really about getting attention, being able to convert that attention into sales, and then, growing and scaling it from there. So really, you just want to explore different revenue, or one, figuring out, okay, how can we, for instance, if we're talking about the podcast, for instance, right? I recommend that, you continue to, or just people in general, right, to really promote your business. So one of the things that really blew up my business, so my social media following, I think went from like 10,000 to over 200,000 in a year, right? And one of the things that really helped me do that, and one of the things that really got my attention, was I heard this quote that said, if they don't know you, they can't flow you, right? So what that means is people don't know who you are, they can't give you money. And I knew that I knew a lot about taxes. I knew that I knew a lot about financial literacy, and I felt like I was like the best kept secret. So I was like, yo, for the next year, I'm going to make sure that I'm talking about everybody knows who I am. And I went hard at promoting my business, right? And one of the great things with Instagram and social media is you can do it for free, right? It does take time. So you want to figure out, okay, do I have more time or do I have more money? If you have more time, then you can go hard on finding organic strategies like promoting, posting, and letting people know about your business, or spending money on paid ads, right, to get attention for your business. So then now when you have attention, then, you know, you're able to now either, you know, sell digital products. So digital products is really key. So I have a whole bunch of digital products, and the reason why I love digital products is you can create something one time and get paid forever.
Yeah.
Right? So literally, like right now when I'm doing interviews, when I'm just hanging out, like money's coming in, right? Because people are buying my book, people are buying my programs, people are buying all these different things, right? So that's passive income, and it's coming in, you know, without having to do any work. You do the work one time, and they're able to generate money. Then you have brand deals, sponsorships, right? Which I'm sure you all are familiar with, right? So you can go ahead and get a brand to go ahead and sponsor you, whether you do like a segment, a commercial, for instance, right? During your podcast, or maybe even just wear, you know, certain clothing, right? So I've had brands reach out to me on different things, and that's another way to generate to generate income. But those are a couple things that you can do, but it does take time to figure out, like I said, most businesses do end up losing money the first couple of years, but it's an investment, right? But as long as you're continuing to plan, and planning is another key thing too, right? So really planning and figuring out, okay, coming up with maybe like a financial forecast, right? And figuring out, okay, what's your goal? So I'm really big believer in like writing down your goals, right? Even in the Bible, it says like write the vision, make it plain. So if you go ahead and write your goals down, your visions down, then it's going to help you be able to work towards something. Because a lot of times we're just kind of like, just kind of going
right
without really having a very clear purpose or like a goal.
So Mitch is taking us to church now.
Taking us to church, taking us to the bank, taking us to write-offs.
Yes.
Listen, like, you're full of so much knowledge, so much gems. We could be here all day. So if people want to know more about you, where can they find you?
Yes. So Instagram is probably one of my more active platforms. So it's at Michel Valbrun, MICHELVALBRUN. So MICHELVALBRUN. So that's the best way to connect with me. I'm super active on there, always giving out free information, free content, just breaking things down to like really, you know, help people understand this stuff. Tax is not the most exciting subject.
No, but it's important.
It's important. We always fussing about.
This is the thing I tell people all the time, right? Like, so in life, we have all these different expenses, right? So I ask people all the time, like, what do you think your biggest expense is? People are like, my house, my car, my kids, all these different things. But when you really look at it, like, taxes is your single largest expense, right? So when you make money, you pay income tax. When you buy something, you pay sales tax. When you buy property, you pay property tax. When you sell the property for more than what you pay for it, you pay capital gains tax. And then when you die, right, you could pay death tax or estate tax.
Wait a minute. I didn't know about the death tax.
The death tax.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're passing down your assets, right, up to a certain amount of, you could pay.
Now that is just ridiculous.
Right.
You gotta pay to die.
Which is why more like high net worth individuals create that irrevocable trust, because the irrevocable trust does give you tax benefits to where basically there's a saying that says basically own nothing, control everything, right? So basically on paper it looks like you don't own those assets, but you kind of do, right? And then that's how one of the ways for you to save money on taxes. So that's a whole
nother podcast we got to bring you back for.
Looking at all those taxes, right, that I just talked about, if you add up all those taxes, that's like 51% of your income, right? So think about that. Like half of the year, most people are working to pay back Uncle Sam, working to pay the government. So like January to June, like you're basically training your time to be able to pay your taxes.
Wow.
51%, but even bigger than that, right? The biggest tax of all of those are a lot of taxes. The biggest tax of them all is what I call ignorance tax.
I guess that's where that's the bracket we're under.
We're on borderline. We're getting out of the ignorant zone.
Ignorant tax is the tax that you pay by not understanding the tax code, and most of the time you end up overpaying in taxes, right? There's so many things you could do. Like I said, we can spend hours talking about all the different tax strategies and write-offs, but the biggest thing that you need to understand as it relates to being able to avoid or reduce ignorance tax is understanding that there's two different tax seasons, right? So there's tax paying season, right, which is what we're in now, January to April, you're paying your taxes, but there's also tax planning season, right? And that's when you're figuring out, okay, how can I proactively save money on taxes, right? So we talked about paying your kids through the business. If you did not plan for that, if you did not do that, if you weren't even aware because of ignorance tax,
Right.
when you go ahead and do your taxes, they can't do nothing for it. I don't care if you go to whoever.
Right.
Like, you can't go back in the past and say, I paid my kids and no, you didn't. Right?
Yeah.
Because we can see the documentation. So, like, being aware and being proactive is going to be key. So
That was good. Y'all reach out.
Yes, because we're going to have to bring it back. Mitch.
Yeah, we're going to have to bring it back because we got 1,001 questions. Yeah, so with all that money talk and tax talk, y'all know it's time for us to have something to drink.
It's the mama juice today.
It's still mama juice, you know, tax juice, what you want to call it.
Juice, right? Tax is real juicy. So our mama juice today is called C.R.E.A.M, and that's an acronym. And y'all should know what that means. What does it mean, Devin?
Cash rules everything around me. Cream, get the money.
Okay, New York. So our mama juice has 2 ounces of bourbon, half an ounce of simple syrup, an ounce of fresh lemon juice, and it's topped with champagne. It's like a French 75 with bourbon. And bourbon, I feel like it's like a rich type of liquor, spirit, so to speak. And we're having a rich conversation.
We are.
Right? We're building our legacy. We're building our wealth generationally, right?
And Money Making Mitch, he raps sometimes. So I was like, this is
you know,
sometimes.
you know.
Oh,
So
okay.
that kind of a little bit.
That's another episode.
I mean, we can go. So yes, I have a song that I did. I'm really big into hip hop. I love hip hop. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a rapper. I was that kid that wanted to be a rapper.
Really?
5th grade, my teacher asked me, like, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a rapper. So I wanted to be a rapper. Ended up getting into accounting and becoming a CPA, but I still tapped into my gift, my passion, and I got a tax rap.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called the 10 Tax Commandments, inspired by the late great B.I.G.
Where can we listen to this song?
It's on YouTube, it's on WorldStar, but I can speak.
Give us a little bit. We got
Just a
time.
little something.
10 Tax Commandments. Y'all ready?
We ready.
And this will wrap up. It's going to actually summarize a lot of what we talked about, all right?
Okay.
So check this out. Check. Look, I've been in the game for years. It made me an animal. There's rules to this code. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game off track, the feds off your back. Rule nombre uno, let the IRS know how much dough you hold, because you know evasion breeds penalties, especially if that prep messed up. Watch your tax go up. Number 2, document expenses you could prove. Don't you know them boys treat lying like violence? Take it from your highness. I done see mad cats and chicks cut for their schemes and tricks. Number 3, go form an LLC. A lawyer set that up. Properly draft up. Deed in the state up. Yep, for them big bucks. To get that paperwork cleaned up. Word up. Number 4, I know you heard this before.
Hey.
Always rely on your CPA guy. Number 5, never tax prep where you rest at. I don't care if they do it free. Tell them leave. Number 6, that tax advance credit. Dead it. They think they're doing you a favor. No, forget it. 7, this rule is so underrated. Keep your personal and business completely separated.
Hey.
Business and blood don't mix like politics with no tricks. Find your business serious risk. Number 8, know the date your taxes due. If you miss a deadline, they'll be coming for you. Number 9 should have been number 1 to me. If you start a business, stay away from hobbies. If they thinking it's a hobby, they ain't trying to listen. You'll be stressing in the kitchen when them letters start hitting. Number 10, a strong word corporation, strictly for bizmen, not for freshmen. If you ain't got investors, then say hell no, because they gonna want your money race, sleet, hell, snow. Yo, follow these rules, you have mad bread to break up. If not, 24 years on the wake up. Flow hit your tempo, watch your frame shake up. Caretaker, did you make up? When you pass, my bad. I hope you rake up a lot of cash with beachfront in Jamaica with the Michelin star. Chef the hooker stick up.
Okay.
Gotta go. More returns to make up.
Hey.
Word up, Tax King.
Hey, I love that. And that's going to be Mama's Corner. We're going to end it right there. Love that.
The Michelin, the 5-star.
Yes. That was awesome.
We'll have to include the link.
Yes,
for
in our description box.
In our description
Yes,
box, so
absolutely.
that you can go listen to it.
Yeah, that was dope. I love
You
that.
got a cool little flow. You
know
sound like you're from up north.
You know, I was just really into like New York hip hop.
Hey.
I'm originally from South Florida, but like I was just the Biggies, the Nas,
My husband's
like
the
all
same
of them.
way.
Yeah.
So we've spoke about this before. I'm from New York. I'm from Harlem. But I feel like sometimes, like the Miami, South Florida, y'all have some type of New York vibe a little bit, you know? So I can appreciate that.
Some of us,
And I think it's because a lot of people from New York go down to South Florida, so and the Caribbean and all that influence that area. So
yeah, that's just me being like I said, just really into hip hop and like.
I'm a hip hop head myself, so I can appreciate you for appreciating New York artists because we somehow fall into the wayside somehow. I don't know what happened. I don't know this mumble rap generation. I can't.
It's been a transition.
Not the mumble rap generation.
Atlanta became the.
Yes, a lot of people are not appreciative of our music, so I can appreciate
Everybody
that.
knows that New York is the mecca of hip hop, rap. Yes, any real music head knows that.
Yes, but I'm just saying this mumble rap culture is kind of taking over. That's all I'm saying.
We're gonna end the episode.
This was great. Thank you so much. We can't wait to have you back. Until next time, guys. Bye. Yes, and tell her we sent you.